Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me. So today, we're diving into a really provocative idea. What if the biggest, most mind-bending problems in all of physics are actually already solved? It's a claim that could turn the entire scientific world on its head. So yeah, let's get right into it. Just think about it for a second. What if the frantic search for answers at the very edge of human knowledge is, well, looking in completely the wrong direction? What if the solutions are already out there, just sitting on a shelf, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice? That's the wild idea at the heart of what we're talking about today. Okay, so to really feel the impact of this claim, we first have to set the stage. We need to understand what we're even talking about. So let's start by looking at those big, famous problems that define the frontiers of modern physics. You know, the questions that literally keep the world's greatest scientists up at night. So in physics, there's this kind of legendary to-do list. It's got the 5 biggest questions out there. We're talking about the heavy hitters, like what is dark matter? What's the deal with dark energy? And of course, the holy grail, how do you unify gravity with quantum mechanics? These are seen as the mountains we still have left to climb. This is the cutting edge. But here is where our source material just takes a complete left turn. See, instead of looking at this list of problems as this grand challenge for the future, the author had a completely different reaction, a pretty shocking one, actually.
I mean, that's a total 180 in perspective, right? The author isn't asking, how do we solve these things? They're asking, why are we even calling these unsolved in the first place, when theories that claim to have the answers are already out there? It's a really bold challenge to the way things are normally done in science.
And that question leads us right to the first big piece of evidence that our source presents. The author points to a specific book, one called New Perspective, as a prime example of a theory that they claim already has all the answers. Now, before we go any further, what in the world is a complete machinery? Well, think of it like a master blueprint for a piece of the universe. It's not just a patch for one little problem. It's a whole interlocking system of rules and gears that explains a huge range of things, all at once, without leaving any big obvious holes. And this is the absolute kicker. According to our source, this book doesn't just offer a little insight into one of the big 5 problems. No, the claim is that it provides a full, comprehensive framework, a complete machinery that offers a plausible answer to all 5 of them. The whole shebang. But, you know, the source doesn't just leave it at that. It's not just about this one book. They also point to another physicist, a guy named Pierre Millet, who has put forward another really powerful, though maybe slightly different, framework. And this is where the argument gets really interesting. It's not just about one single theory. So on one side, you've got the complete machinery. And on the other, you have Pierre Millet's work, which is called Nearly Complete. Now, apparently, his theory does an amazing job explaining bosons. Those are the particles that carry forces, like photons carrying light. But it's not totally there yet on fermions, which are the particles that make up all the matter, like you and me. The theory has a cool idea about tearing and gluing a cosmic fabric, but the details aren't fully worked out. So it's super promising, but maybe not quite finished. So, you've got one supposedly complete theory and one nearly complete theory, both sitting out there. So, what does it all mean? Well, this leads us to the final, really powerful argument at the very core of our source text. Is it possible there's a huge scientific blind spot here? Okay, so here's the bottom line. The source is basically arguing that the answers to these massive, legendary problems might already be published. They might exist. But, and this is a huge but, they're being ignored by the mainstream scientific community. And the author sees this as more than just a shame. They see it as a fundamental failure of the scientific process itself. And this last quote, I mean, it really just lays it all out on the table, doesn't it? The message is crystal clear. The answers are out there, they are being ignored, and that is just not how science is supposed to work. It's a really sharp accusation aimed right at the heart of the process of discovery. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating and honestly a pretty tough question to chew on. If you take this source's perspective seriously, you have to ask, when is the tipping point? At what point does a new, alternative, maybe even fringe idea provide so much explanation that it becomes too big to ignore? It's a question that gets right to the very soul of how science actually moves forward.